The New York Jets lose their third straight game to the Buffalo Bills 23-20 on Monday Night Football. This is the Gangs All Here Postgame Live Show. I'm Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show. That's my guy, Frankie Vittorini from U Stadium. The Jets coming in a game where they could have gotten first place, coming in 2-3, lost two straight games to the Broncos and Vikings. After firing head coach Robert Saleh, going with Jeff Ulbrich as the interim head coach, Woody Johnson tried to spark his team, hoping for the team to play better tonight and have an opportunity to seize first place in the AFC East, at least a tie if they had won tonight. And unfortunately, an ugly officiating game. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll get into the Jets offense, Rodgers, how they looked. We'll talk about the defense and how they looked versus Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. But before I get to any of that, I want to say thank you to all the fans for tuning in, watching the Jets Gangs All Here post-game live show. And Frankie, how you doing, man?
Man, I don't even know how to feel right now. I don't know. I don't know anything because that game was winnable. Like the Vikings game, like the Broncos game, this team does themselves no favors, Ryan. None. They lose every close game. This isn't a team that's going to be able to win enough games when the season's over, losing games that you can win. The schedule gets rough. You can't. Buffalo was beat up tonight. They had a rookie running back, who I loved out of Kentucky, by the way. But there's no reason that you have to make these games so close. This team does no favors for themselves. You have a 1st and 10. It has to be a 1st and 15. You get bad holding calls. It's unbelievable, man. It just really is. It's just, I don't know what to say, man. I'm disappointed. I'm tired of watching these guys. This was another solid game. I don't know, man.
You told us another solid game? The one thing that we try to avoid this week?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I almost hit the mic in my face. This looked like this was a Rob Saleh game, wasn't it? What's the difference? This team gets stupid penalties with or without them. Maybe it's the players.
I think it's the player. I think it comes to a certain point in time, right? You know, you as a team have assembled probably a squad of players that just mentally aren't tough. They don't have the fortitude. They don't have the mental toughness to be able to handle these critical situations and not take dumb penalties. Javon Kinlaw, I've never seen a player get called for 3 straight penalties. 3 of them. 3 of them. And that was the ultimate and the winner right there for the Bills going down the field and scoring the game-winning field goal, because we have a kicker that can't hit 2 field goals on the Jets, and Greg Zuerlein, who missed a 32 and a 43-yard field goal. One late in the third quarter with less than a minute to go, and another one in the fourth quarter. The Bills basically hand-gifted you this opportunity to win this football game. You hit both field goals. Jets go away, win this game 26-23. There was a lot here, Frankie, a lot. Well, I think we should start with the penalties, though. It was, without a doubt, this was the most horrendous, disgusting, ugly, just brutal officiating job by the NFL tonight. The crew tonight should be ashamed of themselves. The NFL should not show that tape to any NFL official ever again. And they should probably take these guys off the field and say, you're never going into another game again, because that was gross. Nobody pays and nobody watches NFL football on prime time for officials to throw 22 flags on the field. 22 penalties, Frankie. For over
it was the most penalty yards called all season, by the way.
204 penalty yards.
Yes, and I want to see a stat. I really do. If anyone out there in the chat, anybody, I want to see how many yards have been called in penalties for the Jets this year. Them and the opposing team, how many? It has to be close to a record. These games are unwatchable. I don't even care if the penalties go our way anymore. There's no tempo. Teams can't get moving.
There's no rhythm.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know if there's a completion, if it's going to be called back. You don't even know. You're like waiting. It's like in soccer when they call offsides randomly. You can't celebrate goals. It's the same thing here. Let them play. Some penalties don't affect the play. Let it go. I don't know. is the NFL trying to bring this health and safety card front
No,
forward?
I
So
mean,
like they're trying to overcompensate. How does this make the product better? How does it even make player safety a priority when you're calling this many penalties? I don't get it, man.
yeah, I don't know. The personal foul, roughing the passer on Rodgers on Epinesa was not a penalty. Let's be real. That was not roughing the passer. It was a hand gifted first down on third down where Rodgers gets sacked. That's a clean play, in my opinion. There's nothing else a defender can do. I'd be outraged if I was a Bills fan because the Jets could have gone down the field and scored a touchdown. But then, you had the touchdown of Braylon Allen. No, the touchdown of Braylon Allen. And then Tyron Swift gets called for a phantom holding call. And the Jets can't capitalize there.
But listen, right, that's a holding call.
I understand, but Frankie, he's already in the end zone. He's already in the end zone. I agree.
That's my point, though. These refs, it's not that these aren't penalties. You can say that 85% based on the law of the ledger, that's a penalty. But it doesn't affect the play. Let them go. You can't call penalties that don't affect the play. How many motion penalties flags have been called? False starts. Like, it's crazy. These delay of games. Yeah, these illegal formations. Like, come on. Like, if it's not a big deal, don't call it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot here. You can't really blame the officials. It was just an ugly football game. Like, if you're a fan of NFL football, you watch this game tonight and you're like, what the F was that? Like, what? That was disgusting. Like, I get grossed out watching football like this because it's at one point you're killing all momentum in this game. You're taking everything out of this game and making it all by yourself as an official.
And it was a good game.
It was a good game. It was a good game, and they ruined it. They really did. They left a sour taste, I think, in both Bills and Jets fans' mouth watching that slop out there. It was every single play. Flag, flag, flag. The refs, like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were making fun of it. Adam Schefter was poking fun of it. It's a joke. It's a joke. There's no way Roger Goodell can watch that tonight and be like, that's a great product for us to watch and put on the field tonight. It's like, come on, man.
Right. If I told you before the game that Aaron Rodgers would be 23 of 35 for 294 yards with a 99 passer rating, Breece Hall would have 113 yards, averaging 6.3 yards a carry, and Lazard and Garrett Wilson would both go for over 100 yards and a touchdown, would you think the Jets would win that game or put up more than 20 points?
Well, again, yes, they would have. And I'm telling you, again, this comes down to, I think your kicker, you have an issue. You got to get rid of him. Greg Zuerlein should not be your kicker anymore after today. Like, you had a kicker in preseason in Austin Seibert who was drilling and nailing field goals, and you chose to go with the veteran in Greg Zuerlein over Seibert, and it's like it's coming to bite you in the ass now because you lost the Broncos game because of Greg Zuerlein. Again, Jets played a terrible game that game. And if Zuerlein hits that field goal against the Broncos, guess what? Robert Saleh is still the head coach. And if you say tonight's a Saleh game, they would have won this game if Greg Zuerlein hits a couple field goals tonight. But there's so much more that goes into it. The penalties, again, the penalties. It's going to be a storyline coming out of this, but it's not the storyline out of this. Aaron Rodgers, I thought we could talk about the offense and shift it to this part now, right? Rodgers, I think, in the offense, coming into this game after we got the news of Robert Saleh and him getting fired, Frankie, you get the news that Nathaniel Hackett's not calling plays anymore. Really, he doesn't have a job anymore with the Jets. He just has a headset on and he's not really doing anything because we get word that he's been demoted. Ulbrich backs that move. Rodgers backs that move. The offense gets behind Todd Downing, promote him from quarterback coach to now play caller for the Jets. And you saw it tonight. You saw motion. You saw creativity. I can't tell you how many times, Frankie, the Jets decided to use motion, get Garrett into the backfield, having him have easy catches. They used Breece Hall in a smart way as a receiver, I thought. I mean, Rodgers had a beautiful hole shot down the seam when he had Lazard in front of him clear out, and then Breece came out from the seam. I mean, there were a ton of plays in this game. If you're looking at offensively, you're like, okay, those are positive signs for us. Breece Hall was a lot better in the run game. The Jets were able to run the ball more effectively tonight. Even I think Morgan Moses, him being back in this game tonight made such a difference. And that dude was hurting out there tonight. He was hurting all night long. You saw him limping.
Well, right, that's my point. I was going to ask you, what element of our offense, what positional group was struggling the most tonight?
It was the offensive line.
The
Yeah.
offensive line cannot handle an offensive game plan that's going to require them to go out in space on screens, to have to pull block on tosses. These guys can't handle it. They're all beat up. AVT's beat up. Tyron Smith, listen, I love Tyron Smith. We had an event with him. He is an awesome freaking dude. Tyron Smith has to play to get paid. He could not stay on the field much the last couple years in Dallas because he has a strained lower back, a bad lower back. He's trying to play, but he's not going to overextend himself physically throughout the course of a game. That's why Tyron's been struggling, if you want the honest truth on that. But this offensive line, they're not ready right now. And it's sad because you're literally putting out a product offensively that has elements like Aaron, like Brees, like Garrett, even Lazard. Lazard can play. Say what you want. He could be a wide receiver 2, 3. I mean, he
tonight.
Yeah. And the fact that this team still can't score over 20 points when you have a Hail Mary too before the half, that's just a lucky play.
What a freaking throw from Rodgers, man. That dude is the king of Hail Marys. It is insane how automatic he is when it comes to those situations. You can feel it. The crew, I mean, I thought ESPN nailed it on the broadcast. They even said it. They're like, oh, Rodgers, this is what he plays for, the Hail Mary situations.
They show the other three, right?
They show the other three, and you're like, oh. And then sure as shit, he just comes out there and throws an absolute dime to Lazard. And as soon as he caught it, I'm like, wait a second, he caught that. And then the ball comes loose. And I'm like, no, I think he survived the ground. And then you see the replay, you're like, holy shit.
Right. Do you realize, too, we're losing games? We are losing games to teams that are not doing anything that special offensively. I mean, say what you want. Yes, Buffalo was running the ball very well in the first half.
Hang on, Frankie. Let's not get – I know you want to get into the defense part here. I want to talk about the offense still here before we get to that defensive part. You know what I mean? Like, let's still address what happened here.
Well, listen, I think the offense was good, but they weren't good enough.
No, they weren't good enough, but there was still a lot of good like, I thought this is Rodgers better. I thought he played better tonight than he did against like the Patriots game. He probably looked tip-top shape, but this was a better defense than the Bills. I thought he looked pretty damn good tonight, and he was dealing for the most part, besides when he got under pressure. And I think the Jets, the offensive line, yeah, there's a lot to clean up there still. The Tyron Smith factor is a big one. Like, he gave up a couple sacks tonight. I know the one was called back. Morgan Moses, I thought, battled tonight. They kind of set them up to win this game, man. I mean, I don't know what else Rodgers can do if I'm being honest with you.
I think the O-line's getting beat up and hurt, Rye. And I think they had a bunch of guys coming off of injury. Tyron, AVT, Morgan Moses. These guys are beat up. You can't expect them to be there. Last year, the Ravens weren't even playing Morgan Moses all game. They would switch him in and out depending upon certain drives and situations. Tyron didn't play a lot last year. He was in and out. He's been in and out for years. Nobody wanted him besides us. So if you want to call a spade, this O-line, they're not going to be out there and constantly control games. You're going to have duds. They were terrible tonight. I thought this was one of their worst games overall. People were talking about last week being a bad game by the O-line. I thought that was a little bit overstated. This week, the O-line was not good. Like, no, it wasn't. Today, they were not.
They were better in the run game. Again, they were able to open holes for Brees Hall. Like, you can't deny that, Frankie. Like,
that's true. Like, they did a better job in the run game. I agree with that.
Like, I see a lot of comments. The Jets' offense is inept. They were terrible. Like, they really weren't. They were moving the ball between the 20s, no problem tonight. Like, go back and watch tonight. I'm telling you, you're going to see a lot of promising things in this offense. If your kicker hits 2 more freaking field goals, you win this game again tonight. Again. And if your defense doesn't have a bunch of dumb penalties tonight, you probably win this game again. It's just the Jets keep shooting themselves in the foot, Frankie. That's the constant theme of this season to start, right?
Right. Every Mike Williams at the end of the game
slips.
I
know.
If he stays on his feet, he might have been able to catch that ball anyway. You can't let that go from a catchable ball to put you in field goal range to an interception where, you're basically giving Buffalo back the ball, and if they get 1 first down, you're done. It's just like stupid plays, man. Yeah. Over Ruckert, before that, Ruckert could have caught that ball. Garrett could have caught that ball in the end zone.
Play by the safety from the Bills. I mean, Rapp made a great play on Ruckert there towards that. I just
That's a tough play by for
It's a tough
Rucker.
play for
Definitely.
Rucker. And also Garrett Wilson was not targeted. I think he was only targeted that one time in the pass interference on that last drive, which I thought was curious because I really would like to see them. But again, every time there was a positive play, the Jets seemed to find themselves in a bad situation because they would have a delay of game. For example, Rodgers has an absolute that was the most insane throw I think I've ever seen besides the Hail Mary throw was him hitting Lazard up the seam.
Good, man.
And it was on third down. You're like, holy crap. But then Rodgers got hit, so he got delayed getting back up to the line of scrimmage. They get the delay of game, and it puts them back now to 1st and 15. And now they didn't kick they missed the field goal there, Frankie. That's also what lost them the game right there. Like if they keep shooting themselves in the foot. If that makes sense to you. Like every time there's a positive one step forward, they take 2 steps back and they kill themselves every single time in these situations. It's frustrating to watch, right? It's things that they can clean up. It's things that they can be better at. The offensive line can be better in pass pro, right? The offensive line I thought was better in the run game tonight, though. Like so, there's a positive step there, but 2 steps back in the pass pro. I thought
you said something week 1 that I think is spot on, and we haven't brought it up yet, but you were right. They need to start doing more no huddle. They need to start not stopping the game to get set. Just keep it rolling. You're not good enough, or you're not cohesive as a unit. There's no cohesion there where you can stop the play and have to set up a new, formation, have new guys coming in and out, motioning. Just let Rodgers go sometimes. They haven't done that much at all. And you brought that up, I think, week 1. And you were right. They should think about doing that offensively.
I agree. I mean, I think that this offense is easily its best when it's in no huddle. Jeff Wilbert on the penalties tonight, he just said, quote, that can't happen. I mean,
we hear that all the time.
No shit. Yeah, we know that. It just, I don't want to see, I'm seeing the comments. A lot of fans are like blaming Rodgers tonight. I don't agree, man. I think he played outstanding tonight. Considering the offensive line did not give him great protection for most of the night, the dude is getting beat up out there, and he's throwing dime after dime after dime.
Rodgers is playing better football as our quarterback than we've seen any quarterback play for almost 10 years. So I'm not complaining.
I know that's what
I'm pointing at.
Karen Nicola, Rodgers is washed up. How can you say that? The dude threw for 300 freaking yards tonight. He did.
He's not washed up. Please.
I'm sorry, but if you want, go back and go watch Zach Wilson last year. Go watch Tim Boyle last year. Go watch all of those inept quarterback play for the last freaking 15 years of this franchise. Go back and watch that. Tonight was way different. That was a quarterback that was under control. That's a quarterback that can deal the ball and give you multiple opportunities. If a field goal kicker hits 2 field goals, the Jets win this football game, people. Bottom line. That's the bottom line. I don't care what you say about Aaron Rodgers is washed and old. That's BS. The man was dealing tonight, and he gave his team more than enough opportunities to win this football game. And I can understand why he's frustrated about it tonight.
Yeah, and even take the first drive of the game, Breece Hall drops that 3rd and 4, that out. Rodgers is giving these guys opportunities to make plays. The only one that really seems to constantly make plays with Aaron is Allen Lazard. Why? Because they have that relationship and they're both confident in what they're doing. This team, Garrett got going tonight a little bit, and so did Breece. So there's something to look forward to offensively. But if you can't figure out a way to score more than 20 points when one of your touchdowns came on a Hail Mary, I don't understand why. I know it's penalties. I know the game's weird, but this team is not able to consistently move the ball and put up points. And yeah, everyone's blaming the kicker. Yes, but the Bills also missed kicks tonight also. So it was a bad game to kick the football tonight. It wasn't that kind of game. The winds were swirling, whatever. But this offense, I want to see big plays that result in points throughout the course of the game. They're not doing themselves any favors. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not gonna, it's not sustainable. Now we're 2-4. Your chances to make the playoffs, we'll get into it, but it's 10%. based on
Troy Aikman. See, now this is the thing, and this is the time. And again, you're 2-4, and now everyone's gonna pile on you, right? Right, Frankie. Everyone's gonna pile on you and say the season's gonna unravel. You just fired your head coach. You lost a really ugly game on Monday night. You had many opportunities again to win this game. My thing though is like it's only 6 weeks into the season. Like you have another primetime game coming against the Steelers. You win that game, people are gonna be like, okay, we're kind of back 3-4. It's just I hate how much these like Mike Greenberg is one of the biggest ones. Like, dude, the season's not on the line tonight. It's 6 weeks into the season. Last I checked, we're not even halfway through the friggin' season. Stop making declarations after one game. There is
my
so
issue
much
though,
more football to play.
Ryan, you're not wrong, but
I know I'm not wrong. You guys are
where
again.
I'm
You're
coming
gonna.
from. But Ryan, where I'm coming from, and I think fans are, is you lost three winnable games.
Yes.
3. You missed a field goal early on with Denver. You could have won. Vikings game, we could have won. And then tonight, we could have won too. Like, you can't lose winnable games and expect you to just figure out how to win later on. If we were getting blown out or like, we were losing handily, I would say.
Then you could say it's unraveling. Then you could say it's season's lost. You can't say that right now. You're talking about one-score games 3 weeks in a row. These are close games that you could have won, but you didn't. Now you learn from them and you move on. People forget this all the time with Aaron Rodgers and all his history, what he's done with the Packers. He started off 2-4 before he made the playoffs. He's gone on runs before. So take the doubters. I love all these fans that are like crapping on the Jets right now. That's fine. They deserve it. They are a dysfunctional mess. There is no doubt about it. But I saw positive signs from this offense tonight. And if Breece Hall finishes a run for a touchdown, if I see Braylon Allen score a touchdown, if I see Garrett Wilson catch a touchdown, I'm going to see positive signs because this is what I'm talking about. Stop making declarations after one game. Even if it's after 3 really tough games, guess what? They could turn around and beat the Steelers next week, and all of you are going to be like, oh, maybe the Jets are back. Maybe they look better. The AFC is not a gauntlet right now.
How are you so confident in this offense? They scored 20 points, 7 of which
should have scored 26.
On a Hail Mary.
Should have scored 26.
Yeah, they should. We say should every freaking week.
Okay, but what part of a field goal kicker missing 2 field goals is on Rodgers in the offense? Tell me that, Frankie.
It's not, but it's always something though.
Okay, but how is that Rodgers' fault? How is the offense? You just asked me how you
field goal kicker's part of the offense, right? I guess.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Special teams is a completely different thing, and you know that.
Well, if you score enough touchdowns, you'd have to worry about 3 or 6
There is
points
no doubt in my mind this red zone offense has its issues, and they need to figure that out. They've been trying to figure it out the entire season, but it's only 6 games. Like, do you just want them to give up? Like, Rodgers, go sit on the bench. You're done, bro. You're done. We'll put you on ice. We're good. We've seen enough for 3 games where he lost in a row. Let's hang it up. Get the hell out of here, man. There's 11 more of these opportunities. Go win 8 of them. Go win 9 of them. Why can't you go on a run? Like, people are like, oh, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You have no idea how this can play out. There's an opportunity here. There is real potential.
Ryan,
they got to clean up the penalties.
We are losing. I get what you're saying. If the games are winnable, it's telling fans that this team's good enough to win. I understand. My issue is you don't know if you're always going to be in situations in the NFL that you can just give up winnable games. There's not many teams in the NFL that are able to stay in games and win them at the end. And you have to convert on that when it's strike when the iron's hot, right? Like, we're not at all. We're constantly fumbling the bag or the wins, and you don't know if those opportunities will come back. You might have a bad game plan next week, and Pittsburgh blows you out on Sunday Night Football. I'm just saying, that's the NFL.
Fat chance Buffalo blows you out, by the way. I'm willing to bet you money right now they're not going to blow you out. That team does not impress me at all. At all. Justin Fields. No way.
Listen, I'll say this to your point. See, I give you points sometimes. The Packers last year started 2-4. They actually started 2-5, and they made the playoffs. However, in NFL history, 224 teams have started 2-4. 24 have made the playoffs. The Packers last year being one of them. It can happen. But do you trust this team to do that?
You don't trust them because you've never seen them do it before. But again,
I haven't seen them do it in
that's fine.
14 years.
I will carry the water then, Frankie, if you don't want to anymore. I will gladly carry the water because I am not going to sit here and just be a mope and be like, season's over. What's the point?
It's not over.
That's how you are. That's what you sound like right now.
Ryan,
that's exactly what you sound like right now.
Ryan, I rather you might think I'm crazy. You know I'm a little nuts. I would rather get blown out.
No.
Than constantly lose close games. I would rather get blown out once in a while. Go back to the drawing board, figure it out. This team thinks they can win with what they're doing because it kind of looks good. It's got to be different. And tonight was a little different, I will say. I like what Downing was doing, specifically in the run game. I like how things were a little different. It's not good enough, man. It's not. This Bills team was beatable tonight. Someone mentioned it. If you're going to beat the Bills, you got to beat them tonight. Shakir was hobbled.
James Cook was out, no doubt.
Best offensive player wasn't even there.
All right, so hang on. So again, you're now making this the entire team, and I'm talking about the offense, right? And how much they can help. And I've seen signs. I saw bad stuff from the defense tonight. I saw more of what week 1 was against the 49ers. You got demolished in the run game as a defense. Demolished. They averaged over 7 yards a carry in the first half. Ray Davis, rookie, goes for 50 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving at halftime. And then they average over 5 yards a carry tonight as a team rushing the ball against you. That defense was atrocious again tonight. Jeff Ulbrich, that's where you got to go back to the drawing board because that was a team and an offense that shouldn't have scared you at all. They didn't have any weapons. Matt Collins is not scaring me. The rookie Keon Coleman, not scaring me. Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, shouldn't scare you. They didn't have their star running back in James Cook. It was Josh Allen's night tonight, and you got Josh Allen. He was running around, scrambling, doing whatever he wanted. The Jets' rush lanes, when it came to the pass rush, they never had contain on the quarterback. He was able to get out of the pocket and do whatever he wanted. Jeff Ulbrich said it to Laura Rutledge at halftime. He goes, we're staring at the guy right now making plays, and we're being undisciplined. And that's the theme. That's really the theme of this Jets team. Undisciplined.
Do you know who I blame for our defensive line sucking ass? I blame our GM for paying Javon Kinlaw almost $7 million in guaranteed money to play on this team this year. It's ridiculous. And I love Joe Douglas. I've defended the guy. This defensive line stinks. They got to figure out how to bring in guys that can actually play against the run, not depending on Sherwood and Quincy to make up for freaking holes the size of my freaking living room. I mean, this defensive line can't establish anything up front. They don't. Your point as a defensive line is to establish a wall and hold down your gaps, or at least not get fleshed out where you're freaking on the other side of the B gap and you're on A gap on the other side. These guys are terrible. Michael Clemens is terrible. Kinlaw stinks. Leaky Fodu, we were depending on him. It's ridiculous. Listen, Quinnen's got to play better, but trust me, he's not the freaking problem on that D-line. No. Is he playing better, like out of his shoes? No, but he's good enough. What is Joe Douglas doing? You thought this was a good enough defensive line?
Well, this is part of the Jets sacrificing talent to go all in for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they let guys like John Franklin Myers go. You know, we heard the news this week about Hassan Reddick hired Drew Rosenhaus. Yeah, the Jets definitely need him. They definitely need Hassan Reddick in that building right now because they need more pass rush, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to help. There was no pass rush tonight. You're right about that.
There was no pass rush. Josh Allen was able to do whatever the hell he wanted tonight, man. Like at the Jets, and then you take dumb penalties. Oh, my God. The roughing the passer call on Kinlaw. I just shake my head. I'm like, what are you doing?
He's an idiot, man.
What are you doing? Where's your head at? Where is your head at? He was bad. And Kinlaw it makes you wonder if that's a solid guy. Like, is that a solid guy that was barking on the table? I know Javon. Yeah, 49ers. Yeah, first round pick. Really talented. I can keep him under wrap. It's been a constant theme with this Jets defense, how undisciplined they are. Some of the PI calls were obviously both BS. But again, the run game, you got absolutely mauled. It was looking like it looked like Sunday with the Cowboys Lions game. You just getting pushed back, and Ray Davis was running and gashing you guys all night. And then
Listen,
finally,
I'll say this about Ray Davis, though. He's got very good vision. He's trying to prove something like Mason was week one. That offensive line came out and wanted to kick our defensive line's behinds, and they did. They knew that they had an advantage with their O-line versus our D-line. We don't have anything up front, man. The Jermaine injury, we don't talk about it enough, but it's affecting this team.
oh yeah,
Jermaine was tough up there. These guys are not establishing anything on the front line, defensively speaking. And you're having our linebackers who stack up tackles every week. Sherwood again tonight at 13 tackles, but it's not conducive. Just because our linebackers have a lot of tackles doesn't mean you're doing a good job stopping the run. It's your defensive linemen that are allowing the linebackers to get all those tackles. Also defensively, Ashton Davis was not good tonight, and you saw them, Buffalo and Brady, Joe Brady, key in on Ashton Davis to get him targeted. You saw that Curtis Samuel play towards the end. They were going after him, picking on him a little bit. That's what good offenses do. They come out, they'll bully you up front if they feel like they can, and then they'll see who's the weak link. And with Clark being out, they knew Davis was coming in, who's a liability in coverage, and they were just targeting him, and it was enough. I don't think Josh Allen did anything. That one play to Ray Davis was great.
He had on the Dawson Knox was insane. Clemens, getting Houdini-acked by Josh Allen. Just
when are these guys going to make a play that we look at Michael Clemens or Javon Kinlaw? Like, are these guys ever going to make a play? Like, listen, JFM, I was fine with him leaving, and I was probably wrong about that. I was wrong. I was wrong. 100%. Yeah. But these guys, how are you getting all these reps? And I just never notice you do anything ever.
Yeah.
That's accountability. Listen, the GM right now, someone just traded for a defensive tackle today. Did you see that? I think the Jaguars just traded away a tackle. Get on the phone and bring in some defensive linemen. Like,
Quinn
you really
Jefferson.
need them.
I heard he's on the low end of the. Is it Jefferson today that got traded? Quinn Jefferson?
No, it was somebody else. I think.
I saw Quinn Jefferson got pretty much put to the bench. Like, go call and bring him back. You need defensive tackles right now. You need guys that can stuff the run because you're getting gashed. And it's exposing your defense.
The Ravens just signed Yannick Ngakoue to their practice squad.
The Jets, listen, it would not shock me if Hassan Reddick's back in the building this week, considering all the noise around him hiring a new agent after his old agent fired him. That's an interesting situation, but that's definitely not for this conversation tonight. Again, the Jets lose 23-20. A lot of bad from the Jets defense, in my opinion. I think the Jets defense cost them this game ultimately, not the offense. I know I can argue all day back and forth with Frankie and the fans here. Jeff Ulbrich on the Jets penalties against Buffalo tonight. He said from a discipline standpoint, that can't happen. Puts us behind before we even get started. It wasn't good enough in that way. He also talked about what he saw from the offense tonight. And he backing up what I'm saying. Brees going over 100 yards, 20 carries, 119 yards, 6 a carry. That's winning football, in my opinion, which he is right. That was winning football from the offense tonight. Defense let him down. Special teams let him down. But like your point, Frankie, and I get what a lot of Jets fans are saying, and they're going to say, it's always something with this team. There's always another part of this team that just isn't going to be up to snuff and is going to cost them these games. Now it's about figuring out how you can put it all together.
Now you're really in a must-win.
Right. I mean, you're in a must-win against the Steelers. Yeah. It's an AFC
very
matchup.
well-coached team. Say what you want about them. They're very well-coached. They always find a way to win. So you don't beat the Steelers, your season's done.
Correct.
Like, effectively.
I would agree.
Okay.
2-5 is tough to get off the mat from.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I hope Ulbrich can go in there and really get these guys fired up because they didn't seem that fired up tonight. And you could tell by the way we were playing the run that I didn't really see our defense flying around like we usually do. And it seemed like they were a little bit content, a little bit not really enthusiastic out there tonight. They really weren't.
Tell me if I'm crazy, Frankie. This Jets team, and especially on defense, when they get punched in the mouth, they don't respond well. They don't at all. Either they're the aggressor and they're the ones making the statement early. But when they get counterpunched or punched in the face, it's just like, now what do we do?
They can't listen. When you can't stop the run, at a point, there's almost nothing you can do. If their offensive line is mauling you, you can't do anything. All you can do is stack the box, which against Josh, you really don't want to do because of his ability to make plays deep in coverage and scramble around. If he buys time when you're stacking the box, you're going to be screwed deep down the field. So it's tough when you just get beat up front. That just changes everything. And the Jets still managed to swing some momentum almost in the second half, but it wasn't enough, man. They were just better equipped tonight to beat us. And I mean, listen, I'll give Ulbrich not a pass, but I'll give him a little bit of I'll cut him some slack for the mere fact that he just got here sort of as like the interim head coach. Like, this is his first real opportunity to have to be the guy running the show. So I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack, but he's not going to be able to figure things out in a week or so because you have to beat Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, short week. I mean, you got to go into Pittsburgh. It's going to be a tough. It's going to be a very tough game. That defensive line is scary. TJ Watt is a monster. So how are you going to defend him or go attack him really? Because that's what's going to come down to. But again, I think there are offensive things you can take away and be a little bit not excited, but like,
the offense is better.
I don't want that to be lost here tonight, is that the offense looked way better compared to the last 2 weeks. Like, you can't deny it. Like, they moved the ball better. They had better schemes for Garrett Wilson, better schemes for Breece Hall, getting the ball in space. Now it's just a matter of, can you continue to build on that? Be interested to see what happens with this Mike Williams. He's getting evaluated for a head injury. Chuck Clark is wearing a boot post game. DJ Reed has a groin injury. So these are injuries are starting to pile up. But again, there's no excuses. You got to be able to put next man up and play, because every other team's got injuries as well.
I hope Rodgers is okay, because I know he was kind of gimping around a little bit. He's been taking a beating back there, man. I mean, that dude's been taking hits the last couple of weeks, so got to hope he could stay upright.
Well, Rodgers is speaking at the podium right now. He was asked about the penalties tonight, Frankie. You want to know what he said?
He said we can't do that anymore. Guys should be accountable for their penalties.
No. He said, quote, "It seemed a little ridiculous. Some of them seemed really bad, including the roughing the passer on me. That's not roughing the passer. We might as well play sarcastic-ball if we're going to call those things." He's right. I said it to you when he even called – he's told Epineza, like, that's a soft call. Like, that's not roughing the passer.
I've never seen – I wish somebody had this stat, or I don't know if they even calculate this. I'm sure someone has or does. How many penalties have been called in Jets games throughout these first 6 games on both sides? I cannot remember watching – you watch 1 or 2 games and you see all these penalties. You're like, this is insane. Tonight, the most penalty yards for the season. Every Jets game, it seems like every other play, every 3 plays, there's a flag.
I mean,
I don't think it's conducive to good football too. Like, how does your offense get going if every other play there's a flag?
I mean,
what
Frankie,
are the refs doing?
They had first off, the Jets came in second in the NFL in penalties and penalty yards. Or actually number one in penalty yards, number 2 in penalties total. After tonight, they are going to be the clear leader in the clubhouse with 61 penalties. I added another 110 yards in penalty. They're up to over 500 yards in penalties. It's insane. It's insane what this team is doing right now and how
the most penalties since 2021, since Salah got here. We have the most penalties in the NFL. It was 163. The Jets have
50 penalties, 462 yards of yards, 462 penalty yards in the season, 50 penalties total, second in the NFL. I
have a question. Do you know why, or do you have any ideas as to why these refs call these many penalties outside of for player safety purposes?
Yeah, it comes down.
What else is it?
I think first off, I don't know if you know this, these refs get weekly tapes sent by the NFL, and the NFL will highlight, you missed this call, you need to call this more, be on the lookout for this more. They actually tell these refs, like, hey, this is what we noticed in this trend this week. You guys need to start calling this more. And the refs actually look for these things when it comes to the games. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, it's crazy. They get tapes sent to them every single week. Like, this is what you need to be on the lookout for.
So they want to like prove to like the NFL and Goodell and them that like they're actually like doing a good job and seeing this stuff.
It's their ass on the line, right? So like if the NFL is sending you tapes, like, this is what we watch and we saw these trends, you missed this call or this call was bad, and they'll make the adjustments every single week. We shouldn't be talking about refs because penalties, while it was the storyline tonight, it shouldn't be the storyline tonight. Again, Jets lose 23-20 against the AFC East rival Buffalo Bills. An opportunity to tie for the first place in the AFC East. Mind you, the Jets are still second in the AFC East after this loss of 2-4. The division ain't going anywhere right now because the Bills, again, not that impressive. You still can beat them. I still don't think they're running away with this division, even though they are just by default at this point. But again, you had an opportunity tonight, and you missed it, just like Greg Zuerlein missed it. That's how it goes, Frankie.
Listen, I'll say this Jets offense next week, they need, on a short week, I guess, short week by a day, but it is, they need to come out on fire next week. Like, there is no way you want to be in a close game against Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football. You got to come out and just take care of business early. I want to see this team in the first half, first quarter, first drive, put up some points early. You don't want to keep that game close because then it starts getting in everyone's heads. And if you have to depend on Zuerlein at some point, you can't. He's all in his head at this point. They're not going to get rid of Zuerlein this week. Trust me. I doubt it because they're going to make excuses with the wins and whatnot. So they have to come out fast against Pittsburgh. There is no reason that there's any other conversation with Downing and whomever that they can just do like business as usual, keep games tight because of your defense. Blow them out next week, make a statement, get some confidence, or you're going to maybe blow another close game like we've done 3 times already this year.
Yeah. I mean, a couple keynotes. Tyron Smith had a pretty horrible game tonight. Probably his worst game as a Jet. I thought Ashton Davis struggled again tonight when he had to come in for Chuck Clark, who got injured. Rodgers, though, I thought shined tonight. He did talk about the late game situation and why they're struggling to win these games in the end. He said, I was brought in here for these situations, and it's the little things that always seem to happen in these games. So it's the little things every single time is what he says. I agree. It's the little things. Just clean them up. Just clean them up. I know it's easier said than done, but the penalties are one thing that you can control when it comes to personal fouls and just mental fortitude not being there. But the little things, hitting your field goals, not getting up to the line of scrimmage after hitting a long third down play and calling the next play, holding penalties in the end zone, better play calling in the red zone, clean up these things.
DJ Reed make a tackle on Kincaid. There's little things like this.
Sauce Gardner make a play, man.
You cannot, and this is stuff that these guys can do. This is my issue with this team. I'm not looking for anybody to play out of their shoes. I'm not depending on Jamian Sherwood to have 15 tackles and force a fumble. I'm hoping that our great to really good players can make great to really good plays so you don't have to constantly depend on a 2-minute drill or within 3 minutes of a game to win every week. That's what this team's doing. They're just not. And then you're not going to capitalize then anyway because of how new everything is here. This week, too, we have a new coach now. We have a new play caller. It's tough to try to win when you're playing against teams like Buffalo that have just been doing their same system for years now. It's going to be tough. And we still are in these games. That's the crazy part. I think this team could hit a little bit of a good run in the next couple weeks, but they have to. That's the difference. Now you have to put yourself, Ryan, in a situation where you got to win 3 in a row at some point. You got to win 4 in a row.
Yeah, you guys. It starts with next week against Pittsburgh, but yeah, the lack of explosive plays. I can understand why Jets fans are frustrated, like yourself. Like, where are the explosive plays? You had the Breece Hall long run down the sideline. If he makes that defender miss, you're looking at a touchdown right there, and all the momentum is totally in your favor, right? You had the Hail Mary. People want to forget about it. You had the Hail Mary touchdown. Explosive play. Explosive play.
Tyron Smith out in space misses a block. You get that block, things are different.
Right.
There are so many examples of this team just one inch, 1 foot short on doing something that'll be the difference in the game. Tonight, you could just look at the field goals, like doinking, and like this team's just something is not working. And I don't know exactly what it is, but something's got to change, man. And I don't know. I don't know. It's a confidence thing. This team, maybe they're lacking leadership. Maybe CJ not playing is having something to do with the run defense being this bad, but you can't lose these games. But now you got to just look forward, and you have to be Pittsburgh. Period. End of story.
Yep.
That's it.
Rodgers was asked if he's concerned about the 2-4 start for things to turn around. He said, well, I think there's concern, but that's important. We need to get going. Yeah, no shit. We all got to get going. This Jets team needs to get going. They need to turn things around real quick. Short week against the Steelers, prime time. We get to do this again, Frankie. Final thoughts, man. Anything else about you with this Jets team?
Man, New York had such a good day. The Mets won. The Yankees won. The Rangers won. Were the Liberty playing tonight? I don't know. But if they were playing, they probably won too. The Islanders won, I think. The Jets lost. What the hell? What is it with us?
Too. Well, the New York, the football team stink in prime time. It's crazy.
Yeah, but today was supposed to be like a magical, fun, good day. It's Monday night. It's getting chilly. It's like cool fall weather, kind of spooky. You thought that Hail Mary things might change. Leave it to the Jets to always make business as usual for them, which is losing games they should win.
Tough loss for the Jets. Another one, third in a row. They dropped to 2-4, second in the AFC East to the Buffalo Bills, who now are first in the AFC East. We'll see how the Jets go, if they can get going next week. Again, penalties are going to be a story. Greg Zuerlein missing a couple field goals is going to be the story. Lots of opportunities. Jets, unfortunately, do not come away with this win. We'll break it down more as the week goes on. And Frankie,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you this. Did you think the Jets were going to win this game tonight at any point?
At any point, yeah. I mean, when they went, first off, when I thought the Braylon Allen touchdown happened, I thought they were winning this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that kind of like sucked the energy out.
It sucked the energy out. Also, what was the first red zone trip? Or was it the second red zone trip? I think it was the second red zone trip. Rodgers on 1st and goal, they throw a play action pass and it goes like off our offensive, like goes off like the lineman.
Yeah, that was weird, right? It was to like, Conklin, wasn't it? Like that was weird.
That was weird.
It looked like he could have just gotten it there.
It looked like Rodgers had no idea that the guy was in front of him, or like
he didn't. That was actually Rodgers's. Like, I don't want to say a bad play. It was just like
was an unfortunate.
Yeah, it was a bad play. But listen, I think at the end of the day, we brought in Aaron Rodgers to have an average to above average offense, which we haven't had here in a long time. We saw that tonight. I'll give you that. But we need more than 20 points, of which 7 came from a Hail Mary. Like, I don't know why the numbers don't even make sense. If you look at the offensive numbers, you would think they would score 27 points, 24 at least. We're still not scoring over 20 points. And
the 2 games that we won, we scored 24 points. But again, should have 26 points tonight. Should have 27 points tonight. Again, Garrett Wilson said it just now with the post game, like I should have caught that touchdown where he got walloped, but Rodgers put it in the right spot. Like, let's be real. It hit him in the chest. He should have caught that for a touchdown. If he holds on to that, it's 27-20 game.
Yeah, man. It's just like unfortunate.
Those are the moments, right? Like the Hail Mary, you're like, holy shit. This is going to be that moment where the Jets turn their season around. We got all momentum going in the second half. We stopped them to start the second half. Jets go down the field and we settle for a field goal.
Listen,
this is how it goes this year, man.
Do you think they're going to win next week?
I kind of have to say yes, right? After I just went after you and all the fans.
You're not calm today. You're just I'm a wreck right now. I can't even.
I see it in everyone. I see it in your face. I see it with everyone else right now on social media. They think the season's over, and I'm sorry. I don't think the season's over. I'm waiting for next weekend to see what happens. I'm not going to freak out. I'll freak out next week. Don't get me wrong. I'll freak out next week if they lose. I don't like the Steelers have a great record, and I know they've squeaked these games out. I've seen Justin Fields play quarterback, man.
Yeah, it's
He
true.
stinks. He stinks. You cannot. I'm gonna do it. You can't let Justin Fields beat you, man. Najee Harris, sure. Like the guy, and I think he stinks too. By the way, like he's a big guy.
He
Like
had his big run last
he's a big
week,
run.
though.
The Steelers' offensive line
His first one.
stinks. Justin Fields stinks. George Pickens stud. And then Najee Harris stinks. Jalen Warren stud. Pat Freiermuth, really good tight end. Steelers defensive line studs.
The life has been sucked out of me tonight.
I see it. I gotta bring you guys up. Stop.
I need it back.
Stop moping. Stop moping.
All right, let's go. Ugh.
All right. Listen, if a kicker hits 2 field goals tonight, we win this game. If the kicker hits a field goal against the Broncos, we win that game. And what are you right now? You're 4-2.
If the magic word for Jeff fans.
But that's how it goes. This is the Gangs All Here post-game live show. He's Frankie Vittorini. I'm Ryan Sampson. Until next week, where we get to do this again next to the Steelers game, when we get to contemplate how the Jets
another primetime night game. I can't wait for that one.
I think Frankie and I are going delirious after these night games, man.
No, yeah, I'm done. I'm totally done, man.
As always,
sleep schedule's terrible.
To the fans that are watching with us, we appreciate you. We appreciate the comments. We're reading them. Keep commenting. Hit that like and subscribe button on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. And we'll see you next weekend, fans.